Well, hi, good morning, and thanks for joining me here in my shop. Today is November 26th. So I have to talk a little bit about video making before I get into this video today, because I'm in a little bit of a video jackpot here. Now, you know, my practice is to come in the shop, do the work, make the video, and post it, and I really don't know where anything is going in the long run. Sometimes I don't know where it's going in the short run either. But occasionally I get into some kind of stupid situation here in my shop, and I don't recognize how stupid it might be for 2 or 3 videos, which I post each day, and then at the end of the 2 or 3 stupid videos, voila, whatever it was I was doing is resolved, and on I go. Well, that's kind of what's happened here. The difference this time is I have 2 videos I haven't posted yet because I've fallen behind in my posting. So I have 2 videos of me troubleshooting the radio, trying to understand what's going on with the Magic Eye and the AVC and all that kind of stuff. And then I discover what it is. And yes, it's kind of a stupid thing. I actually got an email from somebody suggesting this was the problem. I wrote him a long email back saying, no, not too likely. Turns out he was exactly right. I don't want to say what it is because I'm going to show you the tail end of the last bit of video where I make the discovery, and I'm going to save you this time the misery of watching me spin around in circles for a couple hours, pretty much way off, not only in the wrong part of the woods, I'm in the wrong woods entirely. So I'm going to flip now to that little bit of video. You'll find out what has been going on with the situation here, and then I'm going to carry on with what I would much prefer to do. Instead of chasing my tail, I'm going to get to work on the push buttons, which very preliminary sort of testing has suggested they don't work at all, but that's probably not the case. So what's coming next is the tail end of work I did yesterday, and then after that we're back to today, the 26th. Well, once in a while a pretty good slap in the head will work on me. See that hot spot, the light there that's reflecting? So I want to get rid of that. I'm going to turn off the light that's just up above here. Let me just turn off that light. Oh my gosh, really? Didn't I discover this once already? Okay, tune this radio. It's still not open all the way though. Okay, here's the next. Let's try this weird thing now. I have an antenna connected. I had an antenna connected. I'm going to connect the antenna. Well, that's not weird at all anymore. So before this was happening, the eye was closed. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. And then I put this on, and although it didn't do it this time, it actually opened the eye slightly. Hooking up the antenna opened the eye? What? It's got to be it just changed the amount of reception, you know, coming from the light up above. Now we see what's really on this antenna. Do we really? We'll leave it like this. Take this off too. Take the ground off. Even that, how can that matter? It does. There's an answer to those questions. I'm not looking for it right now. Okay, so now what do we have? Now what do we have happening here? Just tuning along. You know, it's still not right, is it? Okay, so I'm tuned. The capacitor is almost all the way open. I'm at the top of the band. That was the volume being turned up. Okay, so at the top of the band now, what happens if I put the antenna on? I'm just going to put the hot lead of the antenna on. Added more noise. I'll put on the ground. a little dark in here for me. I like that. Let me put this on here. Okay. Oh, that's just... So there must be something right there. Noise or a signal. New band. New band. Let's add some more confusion here. So that's I'm sure that's a radio broadcast. Well, not, I shouldn't say broadcast. I think that's a teletype type signal. Some kind of digital signal. I'm not sure of anything. Okay, so those are signals of some sort. It's tuning in. I'm tuning in. Across the band. We should pick something up. Bingo. This is what I've been waiting for. It's perfect. It's fixed. Now what if that stupid light was on? Not much different. Oh, wait a minute, because this was overlapping before. We're overlapping on my signal generator, which I kept running quite high. Okay, we're going through 11 megacycles, 11.8 and that kind of stuff. I wonder what all these are. Could easily be something else in my shop here. I have more lights. Let's turn off the more lights. No, these ones are quiet. Yeah, I have my computer running and we can't turn it off, obviously, or you won't be watching a video. Well, okay. This light I've got in here is a big problem. I have solutions for it. It's being powered up by a small wall wart. It's almost certainly switching wall wart, and I have different ways of feeding it power and making it work. So I'm gonna change that around and get rid of that because I like the light. Oh my gosh. So we're going to come in this evening and give this radio a shot and see if it isn't working really well. Holy smokes, let's go up a bit before I give up. Yeah, look at that. This is with the antenna on. Now, I'm up on a fairly high band here. Should get something. It's receiving stuff.
I went to a little tiny town in Lynborough, New Hampshire, of all places, where they had an 1844 brass cannon. And on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, right on Veterans Day, they would fire that cannon 3 times to salute all veterans, past and present, who have served so honorably in defense of our country. Well, and the tradition is that the oldest veteran there was the one who got the honor of firing the cannon. Okay, I'm going to guess it might be Papa. Am I right? You are right. Everyone was expecting someone else. They thought that somebody else, actually a Vietnam vet, was going to be the one to have that honor that day. And as that gentleman started walking toward the cannon, I very quietly said, "Excuse me, sir." Did you? But we do have a World War II veteran here today. Oh, I bet everybody gasped. You know it. You could hear it. Everybody gasped, and it was like the parting of the Red Sea, Johnny. They just moved to the side, and
one lone signal. Now, see how consistent the eye is open? The whole band here. That's the whole band. I'm going to turn that light on. Now we're going to go through the band again. Not doing a thing.
yeah, wrapped it here.
Arr. Oh, look at that. Ooh. You know, I don't know what to say here. what has gone on for the last few hours in my shop life? I don't know what to say about it. But it sure appears to be working well now. And the great thing is, a new eye is on its way. This one is my own personal eye. So we get a new one. It's going to be really bright. This one's okay. Fantastic. Don't know what I did. Did I do something? Don't know. Don't know what the heck's been going on. But there you are. Okay, so before I get myself balled up in the issues that might exist around the push buttons, if there is any issues, I think I want to go through and carefully measure the sensitivity of each band before concluding that all that is good and fine. I'm probably on my way to another alignment, another touch-up alignment on this radio, so I think it might be wise to do that. So I'm going to do that off camera here, and I'll just tell you what the results kind of are. And boy, often when I say I'm going to do it off camera, I don't in the end, but I think I will this time. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so here's my setup. So we'll do the first one and see how this goes. So I'm on the broadcast band, tuned roughly in this area. I'll probably leave the tuning right around in here. It's kind of in the middle. And what I plan to do is mark down the high voltage I see on here and the low voltage I see between the lowest I can find. I guess I will be tuning the radio. And then I'm going to feed in a known signal amount. I'm going to calibrate that guy. I'll calibrate it every time I use it to make sure it's on the money. And then we'll record the highest AVC voltage, and I'm going to make a diagram of what the eye is doing when I'm doing this too. So I've got a little chart here I'm going to fill out, and in the end should be able to look at it and say, okay, radio's behaving within the realm of normalcy, or there's something still funny maybe with one of the bands or something like that. That's my plan. The key element here for me is to recalibrate this machine correctly every time I do this. So starting on this band, first I'm going to tune the signal generator to where the radio is. Signal generator is connected to the antenna terminals. This is the broadcast band, but I think we'll still get something through. And maybe not. Oh my God, really? Right from now? Is this really the broadcast band? Oh yes, it is. Looks like I'm just got two wheels in the ditch already. You know what they say, every plan survives until first contact with the enemy. That's kind of what's happened here. Could it be I just don't have the radio turned up? I doubt it. Is it higher than 990? Maybe it's higher than 990. Oh my God! All wheels in the ditch now. 300. 300? Just get my camera to refocus here. There we go. Okay, so what could be happening is this guy may be producing a harmonic, and a harmonic is hitting where the radio is tuned, which would be 600 as a guess. Yeah, that's what it was. Previous lessons paying off. Okay, everything seems to be working. Now we got to calibrate this guy. So to calibrate him, I got to turn off the modulation. Whoa, he's way high, way high. Set this meter, and everything's out of focus here. Yeah, operating in the dark. Here, you know what? I don't have to be in so much dark. That should help out a bit with the focus. Okay. So we want this to be max. We use this to calibrate that. We want this to be at its maximum setting, 10 microvolts. That's where it is. So we're calibrated now. So we're putting out 10 times 1,000. 10,000 microvolts. Now, it's out of focus again. Welcome to live, semi-live. Is there any life in this shot? Okay. 10,000. I better be writing that amount down, or every time I got to set it to 10,000. That's awfully strong. That's an awfully strong signal. I can go lower. Okay, let's do it like this. Now, this shouldn't have affected the calibration. It's still where it was. So now we're at 100 times 10, 1,000 microvolts. Okay, 1,000 microvolts, good enough to start. A very, very sensitive radio is going to be able to receive a 10, 20 microvolt signal. Of course, it's fighting off noise, and we're still fighting off noise in my shop here. Okay, so I'm going to tune the radio a little bit. Try to get this meter to go as low as it can. Low. Low as it can. Looks like 3 is going to be the lowest. So I'm going to write as 3. We're on the 15 volt scale. So yeah, it's 3 volts, or minus 3 volts in fact. So I'm going to put minus 3 on my sheet. Now look at the eye. What's the eye doing? So the eye hopefully is almost open all the way. And that's kind of what it looks like. I think it can open a fair bit more than that. It can open right out just past 90 degrees, I believe, like 110 degrees, something like that. So I'll make a diagram of that, as kind of dumb as this might be. Okay. Now we're going to tune in the signal and see what that signal does. Somewhere around here. Am I even going to recognize it? 600. There it is. I think I hear a voice there. Very, very... I'm hearing voices. That's the signal there. Oh boy, the noise is right there too. I can see the noise signal is pushing this way up higher. The eye is almost closed. I'm pondering, is this the right level to do the test at? Well, I'm going to claim it is. So we're going to shoot for 1,000 microvolts every time I do this. Of course, the broadcast band is very different. The antenna structure is very different. It's using the loop antenna up here. It's all a different deal. So maybe we shouldn't worry too much about this band. So we'll call this the practice band before I do all the shortwave bands. Okay, so now we're at 7 volts. And the eye is not quite closed. Okay, B band. Yeah, I'm gonna video this. Said I wouldn't. Saved you lots of torture from some earlier video. Look at what's happened. The eye is almost entirely open and the voltage has fallen to almost nothing. So we're on the B band. We're roughly around 3 megahertz. Okay, we'll tune a bit and just see if the meter doesn't go down even lower. Wow, almost down to 0. Maybe what I should do is I should pick a place where the AVC goes way low, and then that's where I should zoom in with the signal generator. Not be so random at that. So here we are at a very low setting, and the result here is pretty much 0. I'm going to call that 0.1 though. Minus 0.1. And if we just look for junk on here, notice it's really very different from junk being just any signal, noise. Not much happening here. Okay, now interesting. So this is much more complicated than I expected. We're going up to the high end of the band and the picture changes. Just make a note there. High end seems more sensitive. Because here the lowest we're going to get. There's some repetitive interference there as I tune along. The eye is very responsive, right? It's instant. The meter's, got some momentum in the pointer. It's getting quiet again, so we're kind of high in the middle. I've noticed that before about this band. Middle. Okay, having done that, let's go back down around. Okay, although this is a little bit maybe indicating that more alignment is needed on this band to solve this weakness. I don't know what it is, but we'll take that as the low, minus 0.1, and now I'm going to drive it with the signal generator. The frequency we're at is somewhere around 3.5. Try to find it. Okay, there it is. Now at this frequency I'll calibrate this machine, which way low. So this is now producing the 1000 microvolts. We can assume that's what's on the antenna here. 1000 microvolts. Okay, so microvolts, we get 8.6, I would say, volts, and the eye is just a little wee bit open. Just about how you'd want it, in fact. Okay, I'm not going to investigate this band further. That's for another time, I think. I mean, there's a whole issue here when I do the redo the alignment. Go to the next band. 31 meter band. We are tuned around 9.54. 9.54. Okay, so we'll just tune around now and try to find the low spot. A low spot. There's a low spot. Pointer's down towards the right end of up towards the right end of the band. Receiving something there. Okay, so this represents the low, but it's way at one of the edges of the band. Let's just move in a little bit. Okay, we're pretty close. We're close to the middle of the band range, so here's a good spot. Pick a spot here. It's pretty consistently hanging around 3 volts. Okay, so we'll call this one 3. And now I want to move the signal generator into this frequency. It's tuned to roughly around here, 9.62 or something like that. 9.62. How you like that, eh? Okay, now watching my AVC meter here. We can tweak it with the radio itself. That looks like it there. Calibrate. Don't forget to calibrate. The whole thing's for nothing if you don't calibrate it here, Jim. Oh, look at that. Way down. Not going to get there. Oh, yeah. There we are. Okay. That made a big difference, didn't it? So we're still using 1000 microvolts here. Okay, so now the voltage is at 11, and the eye is overlapping. It's overlapping. How do I draw? How do you draw that? Overlapping eye. Make a note. Overlap. Maybe the 1000 is too much. That's pretty sensitive, eh? 1000. What if we go down to 100? What if we should carry on with 100? That's 10 times 10. That's 100. 100 microvolts. Yeah, this has all become too complicated here. 100 microvolts. So that gives you 100, 1000. Okay, we're going to switch to 100 microvolts, at least for this one. And we get a slightly open eye. Let me just check the tuning. Yeah, check that tuning. The eye is a very good tuning guide. A little better than a meter. Okay, so at 100, the eye is no longer overlapping, but it's almost completely closed. And the voltage we're getting now is 8.3. So I mean, what I'm immediately noticing is when you have the same voltage, 8.6 and 8.3, you get the same eye behavior. Of course, of course. So maybe what I really should be doing, I should just mark down these voltages and not worry so much about the eye. Because the eye is committed to doing what this meter does. They're both hooked up to the same thing. Okay. But so far that's a very good result in terms of sensitivity too. Yeah, let's do it at 100. Onward to the next band. Okay, so the next band is 11 megahertz. Right now we're around 11.85. We'll watch the eye. There's really, you know, for an antenna, there's just this wire and whatever incidental effect it has. Not much of an antenna, in other words. Plus this is 300 ohms. Okay, so it looks like the bottom is down here. So the bottom in this case, 2.8. 2.8 volts. Now we'll drive that up with the signal generator, so we go to 11.85. We check the calibration. Don't forget that, Jim. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. It's pretty good. So this is what 100 is doing on this band, 100 microvolts. So we get 7.2, and the eye become less interested in the position of the eye, but it looks like what you would expect for 7.2. I guess after a while you can actually realize what the voltage is by looking at the eye if you got enough experience doing this. That's very good. Okay, everything is just working quite normally here, I think. We'll go to the next band. Gets quieter and quieter. And the AVC dropped way off. And then turn it up a bit. So just turn the volume up a bit, it sounds the same. Okay, we dial for the lowest, but you can't get much lower than it is. So this band is not very responsive. Didn't I discover one band was badly misaligned at some point? Maybe I didn't post the video where I discovered that. This could be the band that's just way off. Okay, so this one seems to be in trouble. Let's check the band switch. No, that's good. Switch is good. So here we're looking at a very small voltage here of I don't know, 0.3 something. So something different about this band for sure. 0.3, and okay, we can leave it there. We are somewhere around 15. 10. You know what? I've got cold feet. I think I'm on a different band setting. Where'd my mirror go? Hello, mirror. 19. Good. Good. Okay, we are doing what I think we're doing here. So around about 15,150 is where we should find this guy. Hello. Hello. This must be the band that's out. That should be, looking at it again, 15,150. 15.6 is not even within the range of this band. So way off. We're way off, and that's got to be why the noise level was, why the AVC would fall so low. The radio's performing so poorly on this band because I didn't tune it right. That would be my conclusion. Okay. Calibrate. Always be calibrating. ABC. Okay. So that's all it's got. It's good enough. We tuned for max. What's that chugging sound? Okay. Doesn't take much to get my curiosity. That's for sure. Doesn't take much at all. So tune them in, get the max. 3 point, well, we could almost call it 4. 3.8. 3.8, so this is way off from the others. Big problems on this band. Okay, now the next band, the last band, yep. Okay, we see a pretty low ABC voltage. Pretty consistent. Another band of nothing. Band of nothing. Okay, we get as a low, that would be about 0.5. We'll call it 0.5 volts. And we are now tuned to around 18.2. What's happening here? What's with the noise? So I thought that should be around 18.2. The pointer's definitely here. 18, 17, so it's off again. Okay, but maxing it out at this point, calibrate, ABC, always be calibrating. We can't get up there. So how are we going to do this? We can't get up there. So it's at 700. If I put it up, oh, we can go up. Okay, well, it's not quite to where it should be, but I'm not going to sweat over it. Where's that hummy sound coming from? What's all that about? Yikes. 16, tune them in a little bit. 7 volts. It's comparable to the other good bands. What does all this mean? Yeah, tough questions. So what's all this add up to? Some bad alignment. That's I think is what it adds up to. I'm not going to study this in great detail, but basically here's the, although it says low, I wrote all the highs down here. So these are the high AVC voltages. 7, 8.6, 8.3, 7, 7, 3.8. The lows, 3.1, 3, 3, 0.3, 0.5. Not sure what all that means, because and the eye's behavior was tracking perfectly with the operation of the AVC voltmeter. So as it kind of must. It kind of must. Okay, I'm going to ponder the situation here a little bit. Try to decide my next step, which I think is going to be fiddling around with those the push buttons, which might require a little bit of setup action here. Okay, so far. See, I told you I wasn't going to video that. Okay, let's start by taking a close look at these push buttons so it can be seen exactly how they are tuned and set up. So even in this camera view is actually not so bad. So there's a variable capacitor and a slug to be tuned for each of the push buttons except for one. One push button is turning on and off the phono input, which you can't see right now. It's just hidden around the side here. So the way this works is the actual tuning is done with the slug here, and then once you get the radio tuned, you then make an antenna adjustment here to peak up the antenna or something. Something gets peaked up. But the actual tuning is done with these guys. You cannot tune any frequency on the broadcast band to any one of these. They don't work that way. There's coils back here which are varying in size, so there's a range to each push button. It's delineated in the manual somewhere, but it's pretty easy to say, okay, so this one is going to be pretty easy to say, well, either this one or this one is for the low end, and the opposite is true of the other end. That wasn't very helpful information, but which is which? Okay, so I'm going to stop, look in the manual, figure out which one of these is the low end, which one's the high end, and then we're going to start. My goal here is to check and make sure this is working. Secondly, to try to tune one of them to 590. That's the primary broadcast station that the owner's interested in. We'll see if we can get through that. First, I got to check the manual here. Well, it's pretty clear here in the manual, right over here, where it shows the different push buttons and their tuning range. So we see button number 1 is the phonograph selector. So that tells us which end of that set of buttons I should be starting at. And then 2 and 3, we go 540 to 1000. Number 4 is kind of in the middle. Number 5 is kind of in the middle. Number 6 can go all the way to the top. So the stations I'm interested in are all below 1000. So you could conceivably get them all on these 4 buttons. Even this one starts fairly low at 900. So okay, so good. So button number 2, let's give it a shot here. Still quite a awkward arrangement here. With the set turned off, I'm going to select the button I'm interested in, which would be button number 2, this one. Okay, so we're on this tuning arrangement here. Okay, and before I turn it on, let me get a tool ready and make sure I can. Hey, couldn't you have done this ahead of time? Yeah. Okay, so this will be for actually tuning the radio. The front tuning knob is disengaged. It doesn't do anything during this when you have the thing set to push button. Okay, let's turn on the radio. I think we're ready for that. So the antenna is getting its. So what I'm doing is I've got the signal generator hooked up to this, and then the antenna is sitting right here. So we should be able to transmit a signal that short distance. First, I'm going to try to sniff out what frequency we're actually tuned to here. See if I can do that. I'm going to give it a little more juice modulation. Remember, I had the impression that these buttons were not working. Okay, I'm gonna hit it with firewall power. Fortunately, I'm triggering my camera to refocus here, aren't I, by doing this? Let's try that. Can't keep my eye on everything. Yeah, you know why this isn't working? I haven't selected the push buttons yet. Back to regular flight power here. Okay, push buttons. Yeah, I was still up on the shortwave band. Okay, I am now on a push button. It's picking up something. Okay, and we're putting in 1,000 microvolts, but now it's into this coil, so it doesn't really matter. That might be a little low. And we don't know where it's tuned. My. Okay, let's give it more power. Okay, I double check a couple things. First of all, am I really on the push button setting here? Or am I fooling myself? PB, push button. Okay. Did I really push the right button? Yes, I can see it. Well, I guess I'm just going to give it more juice. Give it more juice. Yeah, firewall power. Here we go. Could it be above 1,000? So this is confirming that the buttons don't appear to work. What else could I do? I could make the antenna more closely coupled. Really ram in the signal here. This is really going to be closely coupled now. Ram it home. Okay, so that's the IF frequency coming through. What would that be? 580, 590. That's kind of a funny thing. Oh, another one here. Little thing there. Something big, please. Well, geez. Let's see. Where is the slug rods? Are all a very similar distance out. It's possible this thing has never ever been tuned to anything. And what am I going to do? Assume it's tuned beyond its capacity. It's really not making sense. I think it would just be a little weak. Plus, you're going to hit the end of the road with this. Stick this in. Can you hear any difference? Something seems to be changing. Okay. And then the capacitor, I don't think is going to be critical at this point. Wow. Okay. Keep going. Makes no difference. Okay, I need to confirm that these wires are in the right place. I'm pretty sure they are, but I have to confirm it somehow. This is the tricky front, center, rear situation. Alright, now they are in the way I think they should be. Just reverse too. Okay, I'm going to take it off push button, down on the volume. Off push button. I know for sure the one in the middle is a ground. I believe this is now incorrect. But this is the way anybody would guess they go. If you were going to guess. I have photographs of this for how it came here. I'm sure that's wrong. Okay, back to push button. Sounds a lot different. Let's go hunting. Well, so much for what I thought. So much for me. Seems every time I've done one of these radios, I've got to this point with these wires and I've gotten messed up on them. So that kind of makes sense. That means the rear wire goes to the rear spot, the center wire goes to the center spot. Oh my gosh, I tell you. Okay, well that's a good thing. So we want to try to tune this so it's at 590. Okay, we see we've got a very strong signal here. Okay, plus I want to reduce the coupling of the antenna for some invalid reason. Let's just see if this will work. A crazy way of doing it. Well, it did shift the tuning of the radio slightly. Somehow. Okay. 590. Kind of head in that direction. See which way we go with this. In and down. Bit past. Tune that baby in. Okay, watching the AVC meter. You can see it's competing with a bit of interference here. Okay, now we'll peak up that capacitor. Okay, watching the meter. Whoop, whoop. What are they doing there? What's happening there? Oh, what's going on there, meter? That made quite a difference. Looked to me like I could get it higher yet. But that's pretty good. Let's go back to the coil here. And turn down the signal. I hear the radio station. Is that the radio station, or is that noise I've picked up on? Okay, move the signal generator out of the way. We're just listening to the station now. Let me turn the antenna a bit. Okay, can I make the antenna stay that way? A little bit better. Okay. Now, just in the face of this noise, this will all have to be done again when the radio's back in its cabinet. Where's my... Oh, no! On the floor. Okay, watching the meter and listening. Must be some noise signal right on top. Hey, what happens if you turn that light on? That's what happens. Well, that's pretty good. It's working. Now, let's do the capacitor again. This thing is crammed tight. Okay, loosening off, tightening up. What is happening? Uh-oh. What happened? We were doing so well. Oh no. What happened? Let's use the signal generator to figure out where it's actually tuned now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Just a little off. It jumped. Now, what made it jump? Don't know what's going on, but... Well, that's the best this radio's received here in my shop. Now let's switch to the VFO, tune the same signal in, see what we get. Sorry, I'm banging my head on the microphone. Right in here somewhere. There he is. Very similar. Back to the push button. Okay, we have a capacitor here to fiddle with. Let's try that. This is strong. Okay, that's not bad for in my shop here, that's for sure. Very good. Very, very good. Okay, I think what's next is I have to redo the alignment and correct what are obviously some problems on some of the bands, and into the cabinet, and then verify the pointer against the real scale, glass scale, and redo the alignment as best I can when it's in the cabinet. I think that's about it. And then in the cabinet is the actual speaker that comes with this radio. And I mentioned right at the start, what we have on my bench here are the remnants of the original speaker in order to ensure there's a field coil in the radio. They just separated that and maintained it, which is not a bad idea. Better to fix the speaker maybe, but in any case, there's a regular 8 ohm type speaker inside the cabinet. And I don't know if it works. It probably does. We need to find out. So I think that's it for this. Good. I think it's good. Good enough. See you on the next video.